Hi, I'm Jake Houseworth. I did my final project for the Web 110 class at Harper College on email security. I wanted to do email security because I think it's important for people to know how to be safe with email, both privately and professionally. And I know that with the company that I work for, email security is a big deal. We use the Know Before system in order to test our users and to make sure that they are appropriately responding to emails and not clicking on things that they shouldn't be. So I think that email security is becoming a very widespread problem. Phishing is pretty rampant. You get spam emails, phishing emails, spoofing emails all day, almost every day. So if you are actively using your email, it's not uncommon for you to have to weed out some of these potentially malicious emails. So I thought it would be a good idea to go a little bit more in depth about what you can notice and what you can do about it. So what is phishing? Phishing is an email that basically tricks the recipient into doing something that causes harm to them or to the company that they work for, the network that they reside on. The most common form is sending a link that leads to a false website to obtain some sort of information, whether it's credit card information, personal information, or account information. A lot of the times they do something called email spoofing, which is done in a way to falsify the sender so that it appears as if it's from a legitimate source. This can be done in two different ways, one of which is to actually make the sender field on the email appear as if it's coming from somebody else. Another is to just format the email in such a way that if you don't look at the sender, it looks as if it's coming from who they claim they are. More often than not, these emails are prevented in order to intimidate or scare the user into thinking that something is wrong that can be problematic. Oftentimes it's like a bank, some sort of government entity, or some sort of missed payment or missed package that makes you panic and immediately start clicking on things without thinking about it. Another big thing that can be done is attachments can be put on the emails. If you open an attachment that has macros enabled on it and you allow those macros to be enabled, macros can have embedded, malicious software, malware, viruses, or things like that that can launch on your computer in the background without you even knowing it. So opening an attachment from a person that you're not sure where it came from is one of the worst things you can do when it comes to email security. So some examples here of what you can do, what would show up. So on the left here, we have a phishing example with a misleading link. This phishing example, basically, you can see that it says it's coming from LinkedIn, but it's not from @linkedin.com. LinkedIn probably owns the domain @linkedin.com. So anything else that's in there, whether it's example linkedin.us or something of that, it's probably not going to be their domain. And then you can see this is the link here, and they're asking you to click on this to confirm. And the link, if you hover over it, is not showing linkedin.com or anything within their domain at all. Another key is that this is also not HTTPS, so it's not a secure link. Most big company websites nowadays are making sure that they're using secure browsing. So anything that's going to go to HTTP is also a pretty big tip off. And on the right here, we have a spoofing email. So you can see this is the sender information that they gave to the SMTP server. It's presenting Microsoft Outlook. And then if you actually look over here, it's @service.microsoftoutlook.com. So again, you would expect it to be service@outlook.com. They're probably not going to be putting anything else in their domain other than outlook.com or microsoft.com. It's not going to be this unusual of an email. So it's two things that you can look out for. And I'll show you an example of an email and kind of how you can do different things in a little bit. So how spoofing emails works. So spoofing emails, like I said earlier, is the way that the sender can present themselves as somebody that they're not. So when an email hits an SMTP server, it gathers information about the message and where it's coming from. So mail from is one of the headers of a field it gathers. It's gathered and presented from whom the email was generated. You can feed that information however you want. There's no validation check on the back end that sees if where it's coming from is actually where it's coming from. So if I wanted to send an email and claim I was sending it from Microsoft Outlook, I can do that. And then the from part of your email is going to show up as Microsoft Outlook. This would be comparable to if you were to receive just a physical letter. If you were to write on the envelope, you could put the information on the top left corner is usually obviously the return address. You can put whatever you want there. If I wanted to write Harper College as my return address and then put the letter in the mail and send it to whoever I want, the post office is never going to check that. They're never going to know. So as long as the receiving information is correct, the sending information doesn't matter. So if you got a letter from somebody and it said it was coming from Harper College and it didn't look like it was coming from Harper College, you would second guess that. You need to do the same thing with your emails. So the from address that shows up in your email is not necessarily who it's coming from. The reply to address is a lot harder to fake. Sometimes it's almost impossible to fake. So if you have a reply to address, you could see where the actual email is coming from, but don't just rely on the from field within your email. Some common red flags to look out for within an email, and I'm going to go over these kind of a little bit more, like I said, with an example. If the email does not refer to you by name, so if you get an email from your bank and it says "Dear Customer" or just "Hello" or "To whom it may concern," more often than not, if there's a problem with your bank account, when a bank emails you, they're going to say "Dear Jake," "Dear Mr. Houseworth," "Dear whatever," and it's going to refer to you as who you are and the information you gave them. Think logically about the reason for the email. The example I use here is if you get an Amazon email that says that you ordered a package and you don't remember ordering a package, it's more likely and more possible that the email is fake than it is that you forgot that you spent money on something that is now coming to your house. Grammatical errors, odd grammar or misspelled words can often lead you to believe that it's probably not an email that's generated by a company that they say they are. And the link redirection is the big one. If an email asks you to follow the link, hover your mouse over the link to see the URL. It'll usually pop up in a box next to where your mouse is, or it'll show up on the bottom of the browser and it'll say where exactly the link is going to. Don't click on the link, just see where it's going, put your mouse over it, hover it there for a second, and you'll get that pop-up. Some things you can do to counteract this. How the email addresses you, like I brought up, is important. Another thing you can look for is if the email says "Dear Jake," but every time you fill something out, you always put your full name, Jacob. On official stuff, if you get a bank information that says, Jake, or includes your middle name or doesn't include your middle name, or your last name is spelled wrong or something like that, that can be, a tip off. The logic errors with an email as well. So if you got an Amazon package order and it says that, your order is coming in, but they need some, confirmation from you, and then it says the estimated shipment date is way in the future or past already in the year, more than likely the email is fake. If it's, again, the grammatical errors, if you're getting an email from Amazon and there's a bunch of grammar errors or a bunch of misspelled words, it's probably not from Amazon, because they probably are going to proofread stuff. They're going to make sure their emails are professional. They're going to make sure everything, looks good and is presented to the customer in an upstanding way, because they're a large company. And then if there's a suspicious link, but you are concerned about the potential of there being a problem, don't use the link. Go to the website the way you would normally go to the website. So if the link is telling you to, hey, if you bank with Chase and the email is saying your account's been compromised and you're actually concerned about that, just go to Chase the way you would normally go to Chase to check your account. Don't follow the link in the email. So those are kind of some things that you can do in order to counteract, some potential phishing attempts. So I'm going to show you really quickly a example. So I generated this email here through the KnowBefore system. So you can see here, this is claiming it's from Amazon.com. It's an auto confirm from them, and it's order summary at Amazon.com. So this is the type of information that you can see to where the actual email is coming from and how it can be faked. So this is basically saying we've ordered something. Please click this link. Follow this stuff in order to it. This is the logic error I was talking about, where we can see that this is saying it's going to arrive in November. More than likely, I probably didn't order something that is going to be coming in 6 months. The order number is listed here. It's giving me a bunch of information about Amazon. This is kind of part of the spoofing, where everything is showing up, in a way that makes it seem as if it's coming from Amazon. And it might be hard to see, but on the bottom left corner here, you can see that if I mouse over one of these links, it's going to preview.training.knowbefore.com rather than something related to Amazon. So this is kind of a good example of something that if you were to open this at first and look at it briefly, you would think that this is an order confirmation from Amazon. But upon further investigation with the email, you can see that it is in fact a fake email trying to get you to click on something. And if I were to click on this link, it's going to open a landing page telling me that I did something wrong because this is a training website, but this might be an Amazon login page. It might look very similar, and it asks you to type your information, and that way they have your account information then for Amazon. So be mindful, be safe when you're using your emails. Having a virus on your computer or having your equipment compromised when you're doing things financially can be problematic and can wreak havoc on your life. I can know this from personal experience. It's happened to me before. So just be very mindful about what you're clicking on. Be very mindful about what you're opening. And if you have any doubts, just don't do it. If a company is looking for you and needs information from you about something, they're not going to send you one email and ignore you. So you'll get more from them. You'll get a phone call. You'll get an email. You'll get a little bit more information than just one email that, if you don't respond to, they're just going to ignore you and let things fall by the wayside. So if you have any doubts, just don't do it. Thank you.